Once upon a time, in Bronx, New York, lived a girl whose father was an architect, while her mother was a house cleaner and a school bus driver. And nobody would have ever imagined that one day this young girl would grow up and become the democratic socialist and youngest woman elected to Congress, known as Alexandria Cortez. But how did Alexandria become such a renowned politician? And why did she choose the life of politics? Did she really work as a bartender and waitress? Is it true that her father died, unfortunately, tragically, from lung cancer? Is her campaign video simple, yet powerful? Did she really work late? Was she part of the Standing Rock protest? And what are her plans for the future in politics? It's time for me to answer all these questions and more, since this is ASMR, Aaron, back at it again with another daily video to help you relax. So lay back and enjoy the ride. I hope this read helps you get you through your day, or even better, I hope this read helps you gently fall asleep. I can't wait to get started. This is the tale of Alexandria Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was born in New York on October 13, 1989 to Sergio Ocasio, an architect raised in South Bronx, and Blanca Ocasio-Cortez, a native of Puerto Rico who cleaned houses and drove a school bus to help the family pay the bills. The couple met when he was visiting family in Puerto Rico. They married and moved to a working-class neighborhood in New York City. Both parents had been born into poverty and wanted their daughter and son, Gabriel Ocasio-Cortez, to have more prosperous childhoods. The family eventually relocated from New York City to a wealthy suburb, Yorktown Heights, where they lived in a modest home and sent Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to a mostly white school where she excelled. Ocasio-Cortez graduated from Yorktown High School in 2007 and entered Boston University, initially studying biochemistry. She got her first taste of politics by volunteering to make phone calls for Democrat Barack Obama's successful 2008 presidential campaign. Her life changed dramatically, though, when her father was diagnosed with lung cancer while she was at college. Ocasio-Cortez said her father's death her sophomore year forced her to put all of her energy into school. "The last thing my father had told me in the hospital was, 'Make me proud,'" she said in an interview with The New Yorker. "I took it very literally. My GPA skyrocketed." After her father's death, Ocasio-Cortez shifted gears and began studying economics and international relations. She graduated with a Bachelor of Art degree from Boston University in 2011. By that time, she had also stepped back into politics, working part-time through college in the Boston office of U.S. Senator Ted Kennedy, the so-called liberal lion and surviving member of the Kennedy political dynasty. After college, Ocasio-Cortez worked as a waitress and bartender. She became involved in politics at the national level in the 2016 Democratic primaries, when she canvassed for U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, the Democratic Socialist who unsuccessfully sought the presidential nomination against former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. After Sanders' loss, like-minded Democrat socialists began recruiting candidates to run for the House and Senate as part of an effort called Brand New Congress. In the fall of Clinton, Ocasio-Cortez's brother sent an application to the group on her behalf, and her campaign for Congress was born. Like Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez supports such proposals as free public college and guaranteed family leave. In June 2018 Democratic primary, Ocasio-Cortez soundly defeated U.S. Representative Joseph Crowley, who had amassed a great deal of influence not just in his district but among his party's congressional leadership over 2 decades. Ocasio-Cortez went on to defeat a Republican college professor, Anthony Pappas, in the fall election to take the seat representing New York State's solidly Democratic 14th Congressional District, which is centered in New York City and covers part of the Bronx and Queens boroughs. Nearly half of the residents of the district are Hispanic, and fewer than 20% are white. At age 2019, she became the youngest woman to win a House seat. The youngest person elected to Congress was William Charles Cole Claiborne of Tennessee, who was 22 when he began serving in 1797. Ocasio-Cortez has championed economic, social, and racial justice in the House. In particular, she has taken on the issues of wealth disparity and the treatment of undocumented migrants in the United States. She proposed taxing the wealthiest Americans at income tax rates as much as 70%. She called for the abolition of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the Homeland Security Agency that arrested and deported people living in the United States illegally, and pushed for the elimination of profit prisons. Her most ambitious policy proposals were contained in the so-called New Green Deal, which she said is designed to combat climate change by shifting the energy portfolio in the United States away from fossil fuels to all renewable sources, such as wind and solar, within 12 years. The Green New Deal also proposed non-energy moves, such as job guarantee program to assure a living wage job to every person who wants one, as well as universal health care and a basic income. Much of the new spending to fund those programs would come from higher taxes on the wealthiest Americans. Many political observers have suggested that Ocasio-Cortez, whose campaign was funded by small donors and not corporate interests, and whose agenda sets her apart from the establishment members of the Democratic Party, has replaced Sanders as the de facto leader of the left. She identifies as Catholic. She rejects aspects of the church teachings. She is a keen supporter of LGBT rights and the right to abortion. However, she says her Catholic faith has been important in her support for prison reform and a more just penal system. Ocasio-Cortez has been a part of rallies and protests, including Standing Rock Pipeline protests in South Dakota, visits to Flint, Michigan to meet with local community members, and headed to the border recently to protest Trump administration's family separation policy. Ocasio-Cortez's 2-minute-long campaign video has been viewed more than 330,000 times and starts out with, "Women like me aren't supposed to run for office." With a statement like that, you know she is ready to be the change for a congressional district. In fact, the video is titled "The Courage to Change." Ocasio-Cortez is currently single. During the 2018 election, she lived in Parkchester, Bronx with her boyfriend, Riley Roberts. She now spends considerable time living in Washington, D.C. And so ends the tale of the famous U.S. politician who lived happily ever after, trying to make America a better place to live in.